the one thing I've been addressing in a couple interviews that I've had as of maybe the past couple months is one of the things that the dance community can do to improve racial things is to have people of color in key positions. Like that was the one thing that helped a lot of organizations. It's like it's if you don't have someone in these executive positions, whether it's like press or whether it's radio or it's media or within agencies or management, there needs to be people of color in these positions to go, look, this isn't equal or rational. I'm not saying that you gotta, every agency has to, revamp their entire lineup tomorrow and just, go sign a bunch of black people. But, if you have people of color in some of these positions, they can start to sit down at these meetings and go, hey, you know what, we need to include more of this. We need to speak more about this. We need to feature more of this. And it starts at the executive level, which is one of the big things that I advocate for right now is ownership. I think that, there's no Black or Latino owned venues, booking agencies, management agencies, press, media, distribution, all these are lacking color in the executive ranks. So there's going to be some conversations that will not be had because it requires ownership. You're more likely to hear what I have to say when I own something that you need. You see what I'm saying? Like,
that's a really good point, man.
That's why Jay-Z can go and have the conversations that he has. He owns his catalog. He owns a percentage of this. He owns a percentage of that. So now you have to talk to that man. Like at some point you can only say so much. Like now it needs to be a point where it's like, okay, the best way for me to force this conversation is to acquire things that you need that require you to have that conversation. That's just like in the Jewish community. Like, look at the power that the Jewish community has in South Beach, that they had the power to tell restaurants around them that if you're going to be in this section of South Beach, you have to have a kosher menu.
Kosher food sucks.
But I'm just saying that, do you know the amount of power you have to demand Burger King to go kosher? To have a Dunkin' Donuts go kosher? Yeah. To have these restaurants, if you want to be in our realm, you're going to have to confine to our standards. And that's what it's going to take for people of color in the dance communities to have positions of ownership to say, okay, look, you're going to feature more people of color because now I own 40%. This is no longer like, because you can only rant and whine and post and complain for so long. At some point, there has to be a different narrative that takes place, and that requires ownership, because now the conversation must be had, and I think that's vitally important. That's the reason why hip hop is the way it is. Look at all the relationships and things that hip hop has been able to take care of. Look at what Meek Mill's doing with the Reform Alliance. Look at what Jay-Z's doing with the Reform Alliance. Look at what's going on with the Innocence Project. You know what I mean? Like, you have these things going on because now you have people of ownership that now have the influence to initiate change. And dance music, you don't really have that as much. I mean, which is why we all support causes like Give a Beat, because it's like, okay, yeah, we make music, but we also care about mass incarceration. We also care about social injustice. We always care about systemic racism and, getting more education in facilities, making sure that, these things are addressed, to use your platform to address these issues. Now, how much of the dance community openly supports organizations like that? Many don't, because they don't want to mix politics with music, because at the same time, those politics issues make you to force a decision of what you want to lose to make that happen. You see what I'm saying? So like all these things tie in together where you can't just, it's going to require something to happen that goes, okay, Blackout Tuesday is great, but now we have to look at this on an executive level and go, okay, how can we initiate this to really make real change, so that way next year or the next victim, that we're not having to do this again because it's the politically correct thing to say. We've actually made the effort to show you that it matters.
Yeah.
End of That's my TED talk. Like,
okay. Right there.
You know,
do that.
and that was
Drop the mic.